I think the turning point was the hoops. I was coaching, I was the head girls varsity basketball coach at the time, and I was teaching obviously as well, and the hoops were coming down all over the city. And they were trying to make a direct correlation between crime and criminals and basketball players. Of course, I was a basketball player and a coach, and I'm not a criminal. And so I, basically was pretty vocal saying I don't think there's any correlation between basketball and criminals. Matter of fact, I think recreation deters crime. And so if anything, I thought we should have been increasing our recreational opportunities. We met with some individuals at that time and kind of springboarded me into politics. There were some adversarial relationships between council and the mayor's office that they were unfortunate because obviously you're not always going to agree, but the mayor's office and the administration should be working together with council to do what's best for the citizens and the taxpayers of Williamsport. And so it was a little more adversarial than I anticipated, but at the end of the day, we have to do what we think is best for the citizens and taxpayers when I was on council, and the mayor's office had to do what they thought was best. And we didn't always agree, sometimes we did, but hopefully now in my current position, I can rebuild that relationship a little bit and compromise when we don't agree and continue to move forward. Moving forward, what I want to see is, we're going to get our financial house in order. We've already put steps in place right now, and we're working through that process currently to button up some of the agreements, some of the contracts, make everything transparent, above board, so that we're accountable to the taxpayers, to the citizens, and it's right in plain view what we're doing here in city government. We also need a strategic plan, which I mentioned earlier, working with Council President Allison, individuals from DCED, the Governor's Task Force, and others down in Harrisburg, across the state departments, to assist with that strategic plan. They come up, they analyze what we're doing, financials, operations, organizational, and then they make recommendations. And so I think that process is going to have huge dividends positively on Williamsport. They look 5 years back, currently, and then 5 years into the future. And they analyze everything, and then they give you recommendations. And then from those recommendations, they're broken into phases. You don't have to implement them, but if you do, then the state has funding available along the way for each phase. And so we're in dire need of a strategic plan. And so I think that's first and foremost, because you have to have a plan of where you're going. And that way, when projects and things come up, we know how that fits into our comprehensive strategic plan. Yeah, I think we all need to work together. All the community members, elected officials, stakeholders, we all need to work together to curb the violence. And I keep saying, if you know something or you have a concern, you need to let me know or let someone know before it escalates, particularly to deadly violence. But I think we can be proactive. I think we can put some programs in place that are going to help, that I can work together in my office with the DA's office to try to curb some of this violence. Obviously, I have a vested interest in the youth. I taught at the high school for many years, and I know a lot of these kids, unfortunately, that were involved with some of this violence. So it hits me in a particular way, probably more so than others, because I know them personally, and I don't want to see anything happen to them or anyone else in our community. So if there's anything I can do, or I should say I will do as much as I can to protect our youth and everyone else in our community from the violence, and hopefully be proactive and get out in front of it so that it doesn't occur. Obviously, I don't think it's realistic to say that there'll be zero violence, but if we can at least put a dent in it and give them some outlets, that if they're feeling frustrated, if they feel as though the only way to turn is to the streets, that we have some safeguards in place of places they can go, people they can talk to, and I think that is definitely one of my goals here in the mayor's office, is to be a source for individuals whether it's youth, elderly, or anyone in between. If they need assistance, let us know. We're here, we will help you or point you in the direction that you need to go with as much as we possibly can. Yeah, well, I can't speak, obviously I can't comment on that per our solicitor's advice. But the DOJ is doing a comprehensive audit of all of our facilities, including City Hall, but all of our city-owned assets and our programming. And so, obviously we need to see what that report says, but as far as the ADA compliance and the protests and that sort of thing, I can't comment on that at this time. Yeah, well, even when I was on council, I said on the record that we need to put all of the options on the table and make the most fiscally responsible decision on behalf of the citizens and taxpayers of Williamsport. So whether we stay here, whether we move to a building with the county, or we move to another one of our buildings, or we build something, we have to put all those numbers on the table, see how much each option is, and then make the best decision for us moving forward. And that's what we're doing right now. We're working through that process. Hopefully it's sooner rather than later. That's my goal, that we can just figure out where we're going to be and then get those wheels in motion and make it happen. The public safety building, I don't think is going to be within 4 years. But what we decide to do here with City Hall will definitely be, I could almost assure you it'll be within the next 4 years. But that is the elephant in the room right now is our police department here at City Hall. They take up the most square footage, and we need to figure out that solution as well. So, when we're looking at other buildings and other options, clearly the police weigh into that decision quite heavily.